Thing changes to a massive, dimly lit aquarium where various fish glide through the water. A report notes that Jiang Jian has suffered catastrophic injuries, with over 60% of his bones fractured. A lone figure stands before the towering glass wall, silhouetted against the blue light. The man observes that the extent of the damage is so severe that medical professionals won't be able to fully heal him within a month. Gong Ting watches the fish, his face cold as he thinks about Jiang Jian's stupid decision to challenge someone as dangerous as Si Chen. A woman in a green dress sits nearby, listening as Gong Ting concludes that Jiang Jian will be forced to miss the graduation exam. He speaks with total indifference, stating that his team will be better off without any deadweights dragging them down. The sound of footsteps signals the arrival of another person in the quiet room. Gong Xuan, the National Awakener University's Director of Career Services, enters the scene. He's already well acquainted with the trouble Si Chen seems to cause. Fish drift through the coral. As the director reveals, he's confirmed the results of the latest internal ranking assessment. Gong Xuan leans closer to the glass, his eyes sharp behind his glasses. He informs Gong Ting that Si Chen is officially a C rank, making him the only student in the entire school with a higher rank. Gong Ting's expression hardens, a spark of intense rivalry flaring in his eyes at the news. Gong Xuan mentions that the Alliance's vice chairman will be attending the graduation examination to personally inspect the students. He warns Gong Ting to make sure no one else takes the spotlight away from him. He turns his gaze toward the woman sitting quietly in the back of the room. He asked Lan Yue if she would be willing to fill the vacancy in Gong Ting's squad left by the injured Jiang Jian. Instead of answering, she simply gave a calm, confident smile. Gong Ting dismisses the director's warnings, telling him he's making a mountain out of a molehill. His eyes flare with a sharp green light as he asks if the director truly believes he was using his full power during the assessment. Inside the aquarium, a shark lunges forward and swallows a small fish whole. Gong Ting promises that when the combat examination arrives, everyone will finally see who the strongest truly is. He stares ahead, his predatory gaze fixed on some distant goal. The clock strikes 11:00 p.m. at the men's dormitory. Si Chen is in the middle of a hot shower, steam rising from his skin after completing a grueling 100-kilometer run with weights. He stands under the spray, his mind focused and clear. Now that his immediate financial needs are met, he's ready to move forward with the next phase of his plan after graduation. His target is set on the 1 million yuan prize money offered at the upcoming graduation examination. It's the only way he can fulfill his side of the bargain and repay the debt he owes to the mysterious Qing Zhai. He lies back on his bed, exhausted but determined, nodding that there's less than a month remaining before the exam begins. He closes his eyes and prepares for sleep, knowing he still needs to gain a few more levels before he's truly ready. A system interface flickers into life in the darkness. The loading bar reaches completion, and a message appears announcing that the Glutton system has been initiated. Under a blood-red sky, a gargantuan, twisted tower of black stone reaches toward the clouds. A solitary figure stands at its base, dwarfed by the scale of the structure as a powerful wind whistles through the jagged landscape. Si Chen begins his ascent up the weathered stone steps, a tiny figure moving toward the base of the colossal, dark monolith. The scale of the structure is overwhelming, its jagged peak disappearing into the blood-red clouds above. Recalling what happened during the assessment, he confirmed that even his weakest class, Gravehound King, was ranked at mid-tier C rank. However, the system is unable to display the official rank for his strongest class, Abyssal Fiend. A bright red warning box appears, stating that the potential rank value far exceeds the maximum system bounds. While the Abyssal Fiend is at least S rank, Si Chen is aware that he currently lacks the strength to utilize its full potential. He remains uncertain about the true ceiling of this class's power. 2 more class cards sit next to his active ones, but they are completely obscured by shadow and question marks. Their names and ranks remain a total mystery for now. A glowing golden key with a large red gem, identified as the SSS rank Time Rift key, floats above his hand. It is the only tool capable of unlocking the ancient gates of the Tower of Darkness. He releases the key, letting it hang in the air as it begins to resonate with the massive gateway. He is ready to put his abilities to the test. The space between the pillars erupts into a violent, swirling vortex of purple energy that shakes the entire landscape. He stares into the rift, questioning what kind of world awaits him on the other side. The violet light consumes him completely, as he is pulled into the heart of the tower with a sharp rush of wind. Si Chen's eyes burn with a brilliant red light as he takes in the sight of his new surroundings. He stares forward in shock, his breath hitching as he recognizes the place he has been transported to. We open in a desolate realm known as the Fallen Star Wastes, where a lone figure stands beneath a vast, purple galaxy. Suddenly, Si Chen is jolted by a strange sensation, his eyes widening in confusion. An immense force slams down on him, forcing him to his knees with a pained grunt. His eyes glow red as he fights against the crushing weight, realizing the gravity here is insanely exaggerated. A system note confirms the surface gravity is 10 times that of Earth's. He quickly assesses the situation. The door I came in through has vanished. It seems I must eliminate this floor's boss to open it again. Forced to sit and catch his breath, Si Chen calculates his chances. In this environment, I can unleash 30% of my strength at most. I need to adapt to this place as quickly as possible. Just as he thinks this, a colossal glowing foot descends from the sky, shaking the very ground he sits on. The boss of this floor reveals itself, a B-rank star warrior known as the Phantom Lion. Realizing he's outmatched, Si Chen activates a system command. Loading, switching class. As he pants for breath, golden lightning begins to crackle violently around his hand. A notification declares the process finished. The class switch is complete, designating him as a level 10 lightning assassin. Now overflowing with power, Si Chen's stats have been boosted significantly. He glares at the beast and says, "So the enemy of this floor is you." Holding a newly formed lightning dagger, Si Chen prepares to face the pouncing Phantom Lion. The beast lunges with ferocious speed, but Si Chen, enhanced by his new class, narrowly dodges the attack. He grits his teeth trying to counterattack, but the intense gravity is still a major issue. My body feels so heavy. He pushes through the pressure, thinking, I must end this quickly. He thrusts his dagger at the lion's chest, but the attack misses its vital point, failing to paralyze the beast. His eyes widen in disbelief. I missed. While the lion lands gracefully, Si Chen realizes the flaw in his plan. The high gravity has severely impacted my speed and attack precision. The assassin class has lost all its advantages. The Phantom Lion roars, completely unfazed by the environment. Si Chen watches in frustration, thinking, but this guy is moving with ease. As the monster's cosmic energy flares for another attack, Si Chen understands the massive power gap. Is this the monster strength level inside the Purgatory Magic Tower? It was clear his current class wasn't going to cut it. Realizing his mistake, Si Chen doesn't hesitate. He initiates another class switch, and the system confirms, class switch complete. Surrounded by a new, violent aura of pink and blue energy, his eyes glow with power. He declares, then I'll switch to Purgatory Rakshasa. His level remains 10, but his class is now something far more sinister. The Purgatory Rakshasa class card appears. A demonic horned star warrior with immense strength and stamina, a stark contrast to the speedy assassin. This class comes with two powerful skills, Myriad Bones to Void, which absorbs power from corpses, and Triphase Gravity Calamity. His stats are completely reallocated, with his strength tripled and his stamina quadrupled. With this new power, Si Chen understands the path to victory. Different classes have different core advantages. Close quarters combat must rely on the warrior class with its high strength and stamina bonus. He leaps high into the air, activating his new ability. Gravity stacking to the max, increased downward impact force to the limit. He throws a punch, now infused with raw, destructive energy. As his fist plunged downward, the impact force amplified exponentially, surging from 200% to 400%, and finally reaching a staggering 600%. He roars, unleashing the full might of his new class. In this environment that already has high gravity, the power of my punch is amplified by a full 60 times. The Phantom Lion, once so confident, can only look up in sheer terror as the overwhelming force descends upon it. With a roar fueled by all his might, Si Chen screams, "You!" as the beast is utterly wiped out, crushed into the earth by a focused beam of gravitational energy. Si Chen's voice echoes across the wasteland. Don't even think about stopping me. The system confirms the skill that delivered the final blow, Triphase Gravity Calamity in super heavy mode. The immense power takes its toll, leaving Si Chen panting, his hand trembling from the sheer exertion. He lies beside a cavernous crater, the only thing remaining of the Phantom Lion. A notification pops up, confirming he has obtained a Phantom Lion bone. The kill grants him 12,000 experience points, instantly pushing him to the next level. He is now level 11. Lying on the ground to recover, Si Chen pants, the intensity of the battle having pushed him to his limits. The system provides an explanation of his abilities. Every star on the card represents a multiplier of the stats. The more stars, the higher the strength after class change. It then compares his two classes. The Purgatory Rakshasa has 11 stars, while the Lightning Assassin only has 9. This means the overall amplification from the Rakshasa is far higher, making it a superior rank. Si Chen reflects on his performance. But just dealing with a B-rank monster took everything I had. It seems both of my current classes haven't broken through the B-rank limit yet. As he thinks about his classes, another thought suddenly strikes him. He looks at the monster's dissolving remains and wonders, why is it that after killing the monster this time, the system didn't show the devourable mark? He pants, catching his breath as he stands on the desolate landscape, and the gate to the next floor. But then a chilling thought crosses his mind. Could it be? Just as he thinks it, a rift tears open in the fabric of space before him. The rift widens into a massive, swirling black hole, a gateway to something terrible. From the darkness within the portal, countless pairs of menacing, glowing eyes stare back at him. The horrifying truth dawns on him. Could it be that the real Lord hasn't appeared yet? A whole pack of phantom lions pours out from the gate. Si Chen finally understands. The one I just killed with all my might was just a small mob. Before he can even recover from the shock, one of the beasts is already upon him, its claws swiping at his face. He is completely overwhelmed, torn to shreds by the relentless assault of the phantom pack. As he's being ripped apart, he thinks, only at this moment did I understand the true meaning of the Purgatory Rakshasa's words. He remembers the warning given to him. Once the door opens, what welcomes you will be endless pain. The memory continues as a lion roars in his face. But you must endure everything. Bloodied and exhausted, his will remains unshaken. It isn't just about enduring anymore. The warning echoes once again, you must conquer everything. With a grunt of pain, Si Chen jolts awake, drenched in sweat. He sits up in his dorm bed, breathing heavily. The brutal fight was all a hyper-realistic nightmare, a training simulation within his own mind. His roommate below is startled by the sudden movement. He clutches his arm, the phantom sensation still fresh. Muscles tearing, skin separating from bone, the pain in my dreams, is all incomparably real. His face hardens with resolve. To become stronger, there are no shortcuts. This lonely and arduous road of purgatory has only just begun. The scene shifts. It is May 20th, 2157. We are at the National Awakener University's Grand Auditorium for the Graduation Combat Assessment Team Formation Ceremony. On stage, seated at the main table, Director Gong Xuan casually sips his drink, a smug look on his face as his plan unfolds. A nervous buzz fills the auditorium as students whisper amongst themselves. The word has spread that not only are the higher-ups of the Guild Alliance watching live, but the rules for this year's assessment have suddenly been changed. Another student chimes in, no wonder the rules for this year's assessment have changed. Yeah, his friend agrees. In the background, Si Chen sits alone, eyes closed, seemingly unfazed by the chatter. In previous years, there were no minimum requirements for team size or rank. But this time, every team must have at least 5 members, and at least one of them must be high E rank or above. One student speculates, is this change to improve the entertainment value? Another simply replies, who knows? Director Gong Xuan taps his thermos, clearing his throat to get the student's attention. He announces, the rank information of all students in this batch has already been sent to everyone's wristbands. Please check your wristbands and complete your team formation as soon as possible. Immediately, the students activate their wrist devices, and holographic displays of the rankings light up the auditorium. The list reveals Gong Ting at the top as a D-rank high tier, with a long list of other D and E ranks below him. One of Si Chen's friends, a boy with glasses, scrolls through the list and cries out, something's wrong. His friends are all listed as E rank, but what's shocking is the last name on the list. Si Chen, also ranked as a low E rank. He turns to Si Chen in disbelief. Si Chen, how can you be only low E rank? Si Chen remains silent, his expression unreadable. The news spreads quickly through the crowd. Didn't Si Chen test show C rank before? How did it turn into low E rank? A couple of other students scoff. So the demon heart really was broken back then. I was thinking since I couldn't get into President Gong Ting's team, I'd team up with Si Chen. I didn't expect him to be just a low E rank. The mockery continues. Perfect. Now there's no way anyone would want to team up with him. Si Chen's gaze darkens, a flicker of crimson flashing in his eyes as he overhears the whispers. The students continue to gossip. The graduation assessment is so important. Who would want to carry a few low-level deadweights? That kid Si Chen refused Gong Ting's invitation back then. He must be regretting it to death now. Gong Ting, a handsome student with yellow eyes, glances over at the commotion, his expression stoic. He looks up at his uncle, Director Gong Xuan, who sits on the stage with a satisfied smirk, his plan clearly working. The director thinks to himself, "My disappointing nephew. When will you learn how to truly utilize power and human nature?" His glasses gleam as he continues his internal monologue. "Let Uncle teach you a lesson. Your opponents won't even have the qualification to compete." Back on the floor, students are rushing to form teams. The name President Gong Ting echoes as people clamor to join the top student. A crowd gathers around Gong Ting, begging him, "Please let me join your team. Pick me, pick me." The crowd grows more desperate, with students shouting their qualifications. "President, I've been in the student council for 3 years. I definitely won't drag you down." A female student pleads, "President, my healer class will surely be a great help to the team." While another simply begs, "President, let me be your dog." One of Gong Ting's current teammates tries to control the crowd, yelling, "Hey, too loud. Get back, all of you. We can only add one more person at most." Half an hour passes. All across the auditorium, teams are finalized as students sync their wristbands, signified by a glowing, team-formed notification. Groups of students congratulate each other, wishing their new teammates luck on the assessment. In the midst of all the activity, Si Chen stands alone in a corner, isolated from the rest. One of Si Chen's dorm mates sighs in defeat, complaining, "We asked around several times, no one wants to join us." The mood is grim as the students realize their predicament. "We only have 4 people so far. Don't tell me we won't even be able to participate in the graduation assessment." Another teammate can't believe the results. "This is too strange. How could Si Chen's performance result be the lowest rank?" Si Chen looks on with cold eyes, understanding the trap laid for them. "Registration requires at least 5 people and at least 1 high E rank. It feels like they are deliberately targeting our dorm." He knows exactly what's at stake. The graduation combat assessment is everyone's only chance to show their worth. Only by getting a high score with your team can you have good employment prospects. An explanation of the rules appears. In the final assessment, the number of monsters in the Devil's Cave will be determined by the number of team members. The infographic continues, illustrating that more team members simply mean more monsters to fight. It's not that the more people you have, the easier it is to get a high score. For Si Chen's group, the situation is dire. So even if they can't squeeze into a strong team like Gong Ting's, no one is willing to group up with low-ranked people. The truth of their situation is displayed for all to see. The 3 lowest E ranks in the entire school, Ma Long, Xiang Yu, and Si Chen, are all in their dorm. If this continues, they're doomed. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension, calling out, "Hey, Xiang Zuo." The 4th roommate looks up, surprised. Another team tries to recruit him. "We're only missing 1 person. Come join our team. Surely you don't want to group up with those 3 low E-rank trash from your dorm? Otherwise, you might not even qualify for the graduation assessment." As Si Chen watches, his thoughts darken. If this goes on, we 3 low E-ranks are very likely to be abandoned by everyone. His thoughts drift to the image of the 3 of them being cast aside as low ranks. He finishes his thought, realizing that their mid-E-rank roommate would be dragged down with them, losing their chance to compete. But Xiang Zuo gives the other team a simple answer: "Sorry." He turns his back on them and faces his friends, declaring, "Our dorm agreed long ago to team up together. I won't abandon my roommates." The recruiters are furious. "Tusk tilde suit yourself. We only asked you to fill the numbers anyway. Rejecting us, you really don't know what's good for you." But Xiang Zhu retorts, "Don't look down on people." Meanwhile, the clock is ticking, and the team roster fills up with check marks, leaving fewer and fewer spots available. One of the teammates points to the screen in a panic. "Almost everyone has finished forming teams. There are barely any high E ranks left now. We're clearly just missing 1 person, but no one is willing to come." As his teammate panics, Si Chen remains silent, but a cold determination flashes in his eyes. His thoughts drift to the man pulling the strings, the director of the employment office, Gong Xuan. Si Chen notes that he shares the same surname as his rival, Gong Ting, confirming he's from the powerful Gong family. Si Chen mentally lays out the director's scheme, changing the rules and tampering with his rank to isolate him. He scoffs internally. Does he think I'm a threat to Gong Ting? People with power really do whatever they want. But Si Chen's resolve only hardens. "I am definitely participating in this graduation assessment." As a switching class notification appears before him, he thinks, since you are targeting me so blatantly. The class switch completes, and golden lightning erupts around Si Chen. With a dangerous glint in his eyes, he finishes his thought. Then there's no need for me to be polite either. He has a plan. After all, assessments aren't the only way to prove one's strength. The sudden surge of energy from Si Chen startles the proctors overseeing the assembly. His own teammates are caught completely off guard. One of them shouts in a panic, "Hey, brother, what are you doing?" The narrator explains that Awakener schools have a special tradition to facilitate students' mastery. The other students are in shock, wondering what Si Chen is planning. The rule is simple and absolute. In any setting, students can initiate a 1v1 challenge. Si Chen's actions are a clear provocation, but it's the most direct way to show his true power. While many would refuse such a sudden challenge, he knows his target, the prideful Gong Ting, definitely won't. Si Chen stares down his rival, Gong Ting, his plan laid out in his mind. As long as I defeat him, people who want high scores will surely come to team up. But just as he's about to make his move, a new voice calls out from the auditorium entrance. "Si Chen, is your team still missing people?" A mysterious student walks down the aisle, their voice laced with amusement. "I also want to participate in the school's graduation assessment this year, Tilda." The figure is revealed to be a striking young woman with short blonde hair. She confidently states, "I reached D rank back in middle school. Joining your team shouldn't drag you down, right?" Si Chen's teammates are absolutely stunned. One thinks to himself, holy crap, when did Si Chen hook up with Lan Yue? Another simply cheers, "Awesome." The shockwave from Lan Yue's announcement hits Gong Ting's group hard. One of them turns to his cousin, stammering in disbelief. "Cousin W, what is she saying?" Her words stun the entire hall into silence. Even director Gong Xuan, the architect of Si Chen's problems, is left completely speechless as his scheme derails in an instant. Lan Yue confidently walks through the stunned crowd, the sound of her heels echoing in the silent auditorium. The students break into whispers, unable to believe what they are seeing. Vice President Lan Yue wants to team up with Si Chen's bunch of noobs. The murmurs continue as she approaches Si Chen's group. Her background has always been mysterious. "I heard she's a super genius girl from the Saint He Kingdom." Gong Xuan, furious at this interference, decides to step in. "Student Lan Yue, as an exchange student, technically you aren't qualified to participate in our school's graduation assessment." He continues, laying out the regulations he intends to use against her. "Since you transferred here, you've never taken a rank test. Your participation is completely against the regulations." Suddenly, an imposing figure with a large scar over his eye appears in a flash of purple light. He speaks, but his voice is interrupted by a panicked proctor yelling, "Principal, when did you appear?" Director Gong Xuan is horrified by the unexpected arrival, thinking, "Why is the principal here too?" The principal addresses Lan Yue with an amused tone. "Lan Yue, you're only here at our school for a short exchange. What are you doing joining in on the fun here?" Si Chen is shocked by the principal's entrance, thinking, "I remember the principal's class is warrior. How can he have teleportation abilities?" The principal and Lan Yue engage in a battle of wits. He claims her participation would be unfair, but she retorts with a sly smile. "Oh my Tilda, what a pity then, Tilda." Si Chen watches the two powerhouses interact, a bead of sweat forming as his own power senses flare. He tries to use his ability to gauge their strength, but comes to a shocking conclusion. "I can't detect the ranks of those two." Director Gong Xuan, seeing a chance to get back in control, eagerly agrees with the principal's initial stance. "The principal is right. Our school has such a good reputation because we've always followed the rules." But the principal ignores him, instead addressing the entire hall. He reminds them that the university's purpose is to cultivate superclass awakeners and give them a stage to shine. His voice booms as he speaks of the graduation assessment, calling it a decades-old tradition and one of the most important turning points in a student's life. The principal's gaze becomes sharp as he delivers his final point directly to Gong Xuan. "If a student loses this opportunity due to some special factors, how can the school afford that responsibility?" Gong Xuan breaks out in a cold sweat, the principal's veiled threat hitting its mark. "Is this old thing hinting at me? Did he realize I secretly tampered with things?" The director looks from the principal to Lan Yue and then to Si Chen, finally understanding the situation. "Is it for that kid?" Realizing he's been caught, Gong Xuan decides to retreat. Forget it. No need to butt heads with the old thing." He consoles himself with the thought that he has already done enough damage. "Gong Ting, uncle can only help you this far. The high-ranked students have all formed their teams, leaving Si Chen dragging 3 trash teammates to compete. This time you should be able to win easily. Gong Shuan immediately changes his tune, bowing to the principal. Oh, principal, you are right. It was our employment office's lack of consideration. One of the proctors takes the stage to make the official announcement. I announce, teams with fewer than 5 members or teams without a high E-rank member can also submit their registration. The gates of the graduation combat assessment are forever open to everyone. With the rules changed, Si Chen's team is officially formed as their bracelets light up in unison. His roommates erupt in celebration. Yay, we can successfully participate in the assessment. They immediately turn to Si Chen, unanimously deciding, Si Chen, you be the captain. The principal observes the scene, then turns to the mysterious girl beside him. Lan Yue, your interest in Si Chen is much stronger than I imagined. He muses on the coming battle. On one side, the strongest team in school history led by Gong Ting. On the other, Si Chen and his 3 lowest-ranked roommates. A smile spreads across the principal's face. It makes me curious. What devil's cave will they choose, and how many points will they score in the end? The proctor announces the next phase. After team formation is complete, the captain can proceed with the devil's cave selection. Before he can even finish his sentence, a notification chimes. Ding dong, submitted. The proctor is stunned. A team has already selected a devil's cave so fast. The crowd erupts in confusion as the choice is broadcasted. Ah, it's Si Chen. Si Chen's team has already selected a devil's cave. One of the students screams in utter disbelief at the screen. Holy shit, what they chose is actually. Even Si Chen's own teammates are sent into a panic, grabbing him and yelling, Si Chen, are you crazy? Retract it, retract it. My ancestor Si Chen, oh God. As his teammates scream, do you know what you chose? Si Chen simply stares forward, his red eyes glowing with an unshakable and terrifying confidence. The graduation battle examination marks the first time that students form teams in order to enter a real dungeon. Students earn credit by defeating mobs and monster lords inside the dungeon. For dungeon completion, a maximum score of 10 points can be earned. Slaying all monsters within the dungeon earns 10 points, while each surviving monster deducts 1 point. Defeating the dungeon's boss earns 20 points for the boss slayer category, with no penalty for failure. And for completion time, finishing all tasks within 1 hour earns another 20 points. Every 5 minutes over the time limit deducts 1 point. Different dungeon ranks represent varying degrees of difficulty, with corresponding score multipliers. An F-rank dungeon has a score bonus of 1.5 times for a maximum of 75 points. An E-rank dungeon has a 2 times bonus, allowing for a maximum score of 100. Therefore, choosing an F-rank dungeon will yield a maximum score of 75 points, but choosing an E-rank dungeon will yield a maximum score of 100 points. Achieving 100% completion, slaying the boss, and finishing within the time limit in an E-rank dungeon results in a perfect 100-point score. All members of the team with the highest score will receive an offer from the prestigious Imperial Guild. Furthermore, the class MVP, selected through team voting and instructor evaluation, will be directly appointed to a management position within the Imperial Guild and receive a prize of 1 million yuan. The students buzz with excitement and strategy. One mentions, the highest score ever recorded in the graduation examination was 90 points. It was set by a genius former student who is now the leader of Imperial Guild. Another student adds, the E-rank dungeon is pretty tough. You'll need to have at least 3 D ranks on your team to stand a chance. All eyes are on one particular group as a student remarks. Gong Ting's team just might be able to challenge the school's all-time high record score. Suddenly a chime echoes through the hall. Dying submitted. A student with glasses looks up in shock, exclaiming, a team already picked out their dungeon. That was fast. He stares at his screen in disbelief, his eyes widening. Holy crap, it was Si Chen's team. His jaw drops as he sees the selection. He actually chose that one? A D-rank dungeon. The screen confirms it. Si Chen has selected a D-rank dungeon, now awaiting team confirmation. The news sends a wave of shock through the classroom. No one's ever beat a D-rank dungeon before. Did that dude fuck up and press the wrong button? One of Si Chen's teammates rushes over to him, pointing frantically at the screen. Si Chen, have you lost your mind? Do you have any idea what you've just picked? Elsewhere, another teammate completely melts down, clutching his head in despair. You psycho, how did I wind up on the same team with a psycho like you? The notification appears on his wrist device. The captain has selected D-rank dungeon. Do you agree to join? He thinks to himself in a panic. Is it too late to quit the team? A curly-haired student confronts Si Chen, his voice trembling with fear. Dude, have you fully thought this through? This is a D-rank dungeon we're talking about. A D-ranking means. Si Chen doesn't even flinch. He simply replies, MHM, I've thought this through. Just then, another submission alert rings out. And to everyone's surprise, a second team locks in a D-rank dungeon. The screen shows a portrait of Gong Ting. A confirmation message appears. Selected D-rank dungeon, all team members have confirmed. The rivalry has officially begun. A confirmation message appears. Dying, all team members have accepted. Team Gong Ting has submitted successfully. The other students are in an uproar. Holy shit, another D-rank, another team chose the D-rank dungeon. Oh my god. But Gong Ting's team is completely unfazed. Leaning back in his chair, he smirks and says, this year's going to be entertaining. A blonde girl on his team scoffs at Si Chen's group. Heh, Tilda, what's with that team trying to act all tough? They're not even thinking about their own abilities, Tilda. She continues, looking over at Si Chen's team huddled in the distance. They know they're gonna be dead last anyway, so they're just doing this for attention. She laughs mockingly. It's a D-rank dungeon. There's no way his teammates will even agree to join. They should just switch teams already while they still have the chance to quit. The team that was just barely put together is already gonna fall apart. Too bad, so. Back in Si Chen's group, the student with the curly hair and glasses stares intently at his leader, a silent resolve forming on his face. He thinks to himself, Si Chen's expression. He's completely determined. When did he start having such a powerful aura around him? You used to completely lean on me for the entirety of our time at school. He reflects on their shared past, his gaze unwavering. With a grunt of determination, he slams the confirm button on his wrist. We've already made it through the past 4 years together. So I'm with you till the very end. Another teammate follows suit, confirming his participation as well. It's all the same from last place. Whether it's a D-rank or F-rank, it doesn't matter to me. It is what it is, so we might as well go into the D-rank dungeon and see what it's all about. Seeing this, the third teammate grits his teeth, sweating nervously as he shouts, Hey, you guys. He leaps up, his previous fear turning into indignant rage. Are you serious? I'm clearly the top dog in this dorm, so how the hell am I the last one? He smashes the confirm button with newfound resolve. I'm joining too. Let's do this. We're all freaking graduating soon anyways. So let's go balls to the wall. With the final confirmation, the system announces their submission. Dying, all team members have accepted. Team Si Chen has submitted successfully. Si Chen looks at his 3 teammates, all of whom have chosen to trust him despite the odds. A small smile plays on his lips as he says, Everyone. He bows his head slightly, his tone sincere. I'm sorry. I chose the D-rank dungeon in order to get MVP. On the other side, Gong Ting clearly overheard what Si Chen said. But now, I'm forcing you all to go down this path with me. A confident grin spreads across his face as he rallies them. So let's aim for the top score together. From across the hall, a voice cuts through the air, sharp and challenging. The MVP is mine. It's Gong Ting staring directly at Si Chen. Si Chen turns, his expression unreadable as his teammate looks on in surprise. Gong Ting's eyes glow with golden light, his aura flaring as he makes his declaration. Si Chen, there can only be one strongest student in the entire school. Watching from the sidelines, Lan Yue smiles faintly. This is the first time I've seen that kind of expression on Gong Ting. As the 2 rivals face off, another student murmurs, the battle between those 2 is finally out in the open. Observing the bold declarations, an older man with a gray beard smiles. The youth of today truly are incredible and fearless. Lan Yue shares her doubts. But Si Chen choosing a D-rank dungeon? That's a bit overconfident of him. Even if he's a C-rank, it would still be impossible for him to solo a D-rank dungeon. She explains, the bonus multiplier for D-rank dungeons is 3x, and so the maximum score possible is 150 points. But the difficulty is several times higher than that of an E-rank dungeon. Looking at the silhouettes of Si Chen's team, she concludes, given his team's current capabilities, that choice clearly wouldn't be the best option. The older man smiles calmly. Yes, there's only a little over a month left until the battle examination begins. His thoughts drift to the other students training in advanced simulators. It will be impossible for them to develop the necessary capabilities in such a short period of time. As he watches the elite students practice in the combat simulation room, he thinks to himself, I hope that when the time comes, Si Chen and his team are able to put on a decent performance. But Si Chen's team isn't using any simulators. With only 17 days left until the exam, they are out on the school field, exhausted and vomiting from a grueling physical workout. One of the teammates pants, trying to catch his breath. Hey, Si Chen, Everyone else is in the elemental power training room using the monster combat simulator. Why are you making us do all of this? He continues to complain. Dodgeball, shuttle runs, sprints, and long-distance runs. I mean, our graduation exam isn't a triathlon. So what's the point of doing all this stuff? Si Chen looks at them, a single bead of sweat on his temple. At this point, it doesn't matter how much you practice elemental abilities in a simulation training. In the end, it's all still just a simulation. He lectures his worn-out team. When you finally enter an unfamiliar dungeon, facing powerful monsters you've never faced before, when fear of the unknown instantly washes over you like a flood, it won't be the theories you drilled into your brain that determines your fate. A vision of a desperate battle flashes through his mind. And it won't be some makeshift attack combo thrown together at the last second. It'll be your instinct. As his teammates listen, finally starting to understand, he explains, physical endurance, explosive power, and reaction speed are what we're training right now. We're doing all this in order to heighten your physical instincts. He continues, his voice firm. The benefits you get from using the school's simulation training are incredibly marginal. The only true effective training you can do is by entering an actual dungeon for battle experience. His eyes glow red with intensity as he delivers the final, harsh truth. But ordinary people like us don't have access to actual dungeons to train in. Only those with status and privilege are able to. People who were never ordinary to begin with. With a blinding flash of light, Gong Ting's blade slices cleanly through a monster, demonstrating the overwhelming power of the elite. Inside a training dungeon, Gong Ting reflects on the nature of power. And they'll stop at nothing to widen the gap between themselves and us outsiders, in order to keep themselves in a position of power forever. His voice is cold and detached, a statement of fact from someone who has lived this reality. Since birth, they've already possessed what the rest of us spend our entire lives pursuing, but can only hope to attain. The words hang in the air, describing a chasm that seems impossible to cross. Back on the school grounds, Lan Yue voices the group's doubt, his expression a mix of frustration and helplessness. Well then, what can a bunch of nobodies like us do? A calm, determined voice cuts through the uncertainty. It's Si Chen. By entering the Imperial Guild, he states, his crimson eyes burning with intensity, we'll be crossing that social barrier right before their eyes. All three roommates felt the sheer weight of Si Chen's words, their eyes widening with a glimmer of newfound hope. This graduation exam is the one and only chance for us to surpass them, Si Chen emphasized. For Si Chen, this is more than just an exam. It's personal. It'll be my best chance to surpass them as well. He looks at his teammates, a silent promise in his gaze. And that's why I'll do my absolute best to fulfill this promise to everyone. We'll absolutely win. To keep that promise, Si Chen pushes himself to the limit, battling spectral beasts in the Dream Tower's Starfall Barrens. The training is brutal. He takes a vicious slash to the chest, blood spraying from the wound. He's knocked back by another savage blow, the impact rattling his entire body. But he doesn't stay down. 10 days until the exam. Si Chen puts his team through a grueling physical regimen. While he leads the pack with ease, his teammates struggle to keep up. 5 more laps, keep up, one shouts as another collapses, gasping, no, I can't go on. Back in the Dream Tower, pain only fuels his resolve. Gritting his teeth, Si Chen retaliates, lightning crackling around his fists as he strikes back against the phantom creature. Meanwhile, Gong Ting continues his own training, effortlessly dispatching monsters with a confident smirk. For him, this is just another day. Only 5 days left. Si Chen's training intensity only increases, never wavering. He powers through push-ups with a massive weight strapped to his back, while his teammates practice supporting heavy weights with both hands, counting every single rep. 101-102. 3 days to go. Gong Ting stands alone, surrounded by the smoldering remains of his enemies, the picture of calm and collected power. With only 2 days left, Si Chen's relentless grind pays off. As he strikes down the last of the phantom beasts, a notification appears. He's leveled up, becoming a level 16-volt assassin. One day, the final day of preparation. Bloodied but unbroken, Si Chen's eyes glow with fierce determination. The real battle begins now. June 17, 2157. It's the day of the graduation combat exam. A floating drone activates, its robotic voice echoing through the hall. Beep, beep. Hello, examinees. I'm your escort drone for this exam. In the waiting area, a figure in a dark, hooded jacket calmly fastens his combat gloves, making final preparations for the battle ahead. Si Chen stands confidently among the other students, his equipment gleaming. The drone gives its final instructions. Please check that your wristbands and equipment are worn correctly. The drone's announcement rings out as a blinding teal light erupts before the assembled students. Attention, everyone. The graduation exam officially begins. The camera pans over the prestigious National Awakened University, where the future of the world's hunters is about to be decided. Outside, limousines signal the arrival of very important spectators. Stepping out to meet the convoy was a man with a scarred face and an overwhelming aura of authority. The school principal greeted him with deep respect. It has been a long time, Chairman Gong. This distinguished man is Gong Lin, co-founder of the Imperial Guild and Gong Ting's father. He greets the principal with a smile. Sorry to keep you waiting, principal. Watching from the windows, the students couldn't hide their amazement. That's one of the founding members of the Imperial Guild. He looks so incredibly sharp. The onlookers buzz with excitement and confusion. Huh, who's in the car behind them? To think even an Imperial Guild founder and the principal came personally to invite them out. A bodyguard opens the door to the limousine, and a man with pinkish-red hair dressed in an elegant suit steps out. Adjusting his cufflinks, the man's identity is revealed, sending a shockwave through the crowd. He is Carl Cavendish, the vice chairman of the World Guild Alliance. The teachers are floored, their jaws dropping in disbelief. The Alliance vice chairman. The Guild Alliance vice chairman actually came to our school. One of them continues, still reeling from the shock. Damn, people like that you might never see once in your life. No wonder they cleared out the whole admin district today. The stakes of this exam have just been raised to a global level. The Guild Alliance is the most powerful organization in the world right now. If they notice you. As the VIPs are escorted inside, the onlookers can only dream of the possibilities. The live broadcast of the graduation combat exam is about to begin. Please head inside. And no, even just getting in contact with the Guild Alliance, your whole life could change in an instant. Inside the observation room, the vice principal begins the briefing. This year, 184 students are participating in the graduation combat exam, divided into 28 teams. He continues, standing before a wall of monitors showing the students' choices. 23 teams chose F-rank layers, 3 teams chose E-rank layers, and 2 teams chose D-rank layers. A woman with her hair in a bun and sharp glasses speaks up, her tone laced with surprise. Some teams actually chose D-rank layers. This is Sigrid, the Secretary General of the Guild Alliance. She turns to the school staff, her expression serious. Even for pro-guild parties, D-rank layers are considered dangerous. Did you properly warn the students about how dangerous layers are? All the while, Carl Cavendish relaxes, seemingly unimpressed. The vice principal reassures her. Of course, we explained everything clearly in advance. Since they rarely get real combat, the vast majority of students are lowly rank E. They can barely handle normal mobs in F-rank layers. To illustrate his point, a scene from an F-rank layer plays out, showing a student taking on a Thornjaw salamander, a basic F-rank Volt warrior. But they struggle quite a bit against the lair lords. The students are shown giving their all just to face a large Thornjaw salamander, proving that a lord's strength far surpasses regular mobs of the same rank. Students have to give everything they've got to defeat an F-rank lair lord, but E-rank lairs are on a completely different level. Inside one such lair, a team of students looks terrified. Every mob in an E-rank lair is as strong as an F-rank lair lord. The reason for their fear becomes clear as hordes of stag beetle spiders, E-rank flora assassins, crawl towards them. One student sweats profusely, his face pale with terror. How is an E-rank lair this hard? This is way beyond what we expected. The vice principal concludes, so for most students, clearing an E-rank lair is basically a mission impossible. Sigrid presses further, concerned for the students' well-being. If a student runs into danger, what safety measures are there? The vice principal's expression is firm and reassuring. Rest assured, Secretary General, students are our most valuable resource. He explains the precautions. Outside each lair, armed Imperial Guild personnel are standing by. If an extreme danger is detected, they'll intervene immediately. Plus, the examinees' wristbands already have a teleport function. Even as a monstrous bug attacks, the students have a way out. When faced with overwhelming danger, a student can simply quit. We see one scream in terror, I quit the exam, pressing the button on his wristband, which immediately flashes with a withdrawn notification. As soon as a student chooses to give up the combat exam, the principal explains, they'll be teleported out of the lair immediately. On screen, a team reappears in a safe room, shaken but unharmed. That was terrifying, Sigrid seems impressed despite her concerns. Even so, there are still 2 teams that chose the higher difficulty D-rank layers. Your school is really full of talent. I'm looking forward to seeing their performance. The vice principal's reply is grim, his eyes narrowing slightly. Yeah, I want to see how long they can last. He watches the live feed of Si Chen's team trekking through the snow, his skepticism clear. HMPH, those kids will bail out soon enough. The team enters the D-rank lair, the high-risk cloud forest summit. It's a treacherous, icy landscape of massive trees with shadowy figures lurking on the branches. One of the teammates stammers, "WH, what the hell is that thing?" Perched on a cliff edge is a ghost bat monkey, a D-rank cloud assassin. Its grotesque features and sharp claws are enough to terrify anyone. That thing looks creepy as hell. Si Chen, however, remains calm, analyzing the threat. Ghost bat monkey cloud-type monster, specializes in group attacks with extremely fast aerial dash speed. You have to watch out for their dive attacks at all times. From above, the monsters have already spotted their prey, their shadowy forms looming over the unsuspecting students. Without warning, a whole swarm of ghost bat monkeys dives down from the trees, screeching as they descend upon the team. Si Chen's eyes sharpen. He's the first to react to the ambush, yelling out a single word of warning: incoming. The attack was lightning fast. One of the students leaned aside to dodge, completely blindsided by the terrifying speed of the ambush. Another teammate scrambles to get out of the way, tumbling desperately through the snow to evade the attack. A third leaps through the air, barely managing to avoid the deadly dive bomb thanks to Si Chen's warning and their grueling physical training. His teammates collapse onto the snow, breathing heavily in a mix of terror and relief. Holy *T, we actually just dodged a D-rank monster's attack, another exclaims. I'm still alive. Just as they recover, another monster charges forward, kicking up a massive wave of snow. But this time, someone is ready for it. One of the teammates watches in stunned silence, his eyes wide as he tries to process what he's seeing. Si Chen, lightning crackles around Si Chen as he stands over the bloody corpses of 3 ghost bat monkeys. His teammate finishes his thought in utter disbelief. Took down 3 D-rank monsters in an instant. Si Chen, his eyes glowing with power, turns to his roommates. Your current strength isn't enough to handle them, he warns coolly. Just protect yourselves here, with a final command to leave the rest to me. He explodes forward, launching himself into the horde of monsters like a bolt of lightning. But the danger isn't just in front of him. A piercing scream of "watch out!" echoes as a winged creature ambushes the others, forcing them to dive out of the way. The attack connects, slamming one of the students hard against a frozen tree trunk with a sickening thud. Watching the chaos, Ma Long has a sudden, dawning realization. So that's why he was training our reaction speed and explosiveness before. He never expected us to provide any actual help. It was just so we could protect ourselves. The self-proclaimed leader of their dorm seethes with frustration, thinking to himself, damn it, I've clearly been the boss of this dorm the whole time, yet now I have to rely on this guy to get me to graduation. While they grapple with their wounded pride, Si Chen is already deep in battle, tearing through the demonic bats with brutal efficiency. The creatures swarm him, a chaotic flurry of claws and fangs descending from all sides. But Si Chen is faster. He moves like a phantom, his golden energy slicing through the monsters before they can even touch him. He becomes a whirlwind of destruction, each movement precise and deadly, leaving a trail of defeated monsters in his wake. Watching the one-sided slaughter, the dorm leader is stunned. I didn't believe Ma Long when he said Si Chen was strong, he thinks, but seeing it with my own eyes now. This guy is so strong he doesn't seem like a graduate at all. Si Chen's eyes burn with cold focus, every ounce of his being concentrated on the fight. The spectacle of golden light carving through the darkness solidifies the crushing truth in his mind. He's clearly a battle-hardened warrior. The gap in their power is undeniable. When did this guy suddenly become so reliable? He despairs. I've truly been left behind. While Ma Long is lost in thought, a stray monster breaks off from the pack. Ma Long spots it charging towards them and shouts a warning to the team. Watch out! Another one is coming from behind. The bat-like creature lunges, but at the last second, Xiang Zhu manages to perform a series of rolls to dodge the attack. Having narrowly escaped death, Xiang Zhu immediately counterattacks, channeling blazing fire energy into his hand before grabbing the monster's leg and yanking it back. With both hands ablaze, he pins the monster's legs down and shouts to his friends. Hey, Xiangyu, Ma Long, we can't just keep acting like punching bags and relying entirely on Si Chen forever. His words ignite a spark in the others. This isn't just Si Chen's fight, he reminds them. This isn't just his graduation assessment. With a furious roar, his eyes blazing with determination, Xiangzhu declares, "It's OUR graduation assessment too." Inspired, Ma Long's spirit soars. "You're right," he agrees, as green light begins to emanate from his outstretched hand. He unleashes his own power, casting a spell. "Flora chant, vine lock," he yells. "Have a taste of this." Thick, twisting vines shoot out from the ground, wrapping around the ghost bat monkey and constricting it tightly. But their opponent is a D-rank monster. It lets out a piercing screech, and with a single flex of power, the thick vines snap like twigs, knocking Xiangzhu back. Ma Long stares in disbelief, his confidence shattered as he cries out, "Ah!" It broke free instantly. Just as the monster breaks free, a blast of cold air hits it. Another teammate, Xiangyu, has joined the fight, casting Cloud Chant, Frost Breeze, which visibly slows the creature down. With his hand glowing from the ice magic, Xiangyu yells, "I slowed it down. Let's attack together." Ma Long, his determination returning, charges his fist with green energy and shouts, "Let's see you run now." This time their powers combine. Combo skill, Frost Breeze plus Vine Lock. The icy winds and reinforced vines wrap around the monster, completely immobilizing it. Together they scream, "Xiangzhu, now." Hearing the call, Xiangzhu, already prepared, yells, "Got it," as he forms a swirling ball of fire in his hand. He leaps into the air and unleashes his ultimate move with a cry of "Taste this." It's the signature skill of a nuclear mage. Burst Flame Bullet. The attack hits the frozen monster head-on, with a massive explosion of fire and force. The ghost bat monkey lets out a final, agonizing howl as it's engulfed in flames. But incredibly, it's still standing. Xiangzhu can't believe it. Shit, it's this tanky. He unleashes a rapid barrage of smaller fireballs. The monster is battered by a relentless series of explosions, pushing it back. The combined hold is starting to fail. Ma Long strains, sweat pouring down his face as he yells, "I can't hold it back anymore." Xiangyu is also fatting fast, his face contorted in pain. I'm at my limit," he gasps. Seeing his chances about to disappear, Xiangzhu makes a decision. "FCK it, I'm going all out." He begins to gather every last bit of his energy into a single, massive sphere of fire above his head. His face becomes a mask of pure rage and effort as he bellows, "This is my nuclear mage, converged burst flame bullet." With a final scream, he hurls the supercharged attack, and the entire area is consumed by a cataclysmic explosion. As the smoke clears, a small drone floats over the monster's remains, its cheerful voice cutting through the silence. "Congratulations, congratulations, successfully killed a ghost bat monkey." Exhausted but victorious, the three of them collapse onto the snow, laughing with relief and pride. "We did it, we actually took down a D-rank monster." Drawn by the massive explosion, Si Chen watches them from a distance, a silent observer. Lying on the ground, one of them spots him and calls out, "Hey, Si Chen, did you see that?" Below them, the monster's corpse dissolves, leaving behind a single item, a ghost bat monkey finger bone. Still giddy with success, Xiangzhu props himself up with a smug grin, boasting, "It was a piece of cake." Si Chen stands surrounded by the corpses of dozens of monsters he defeated alone. He offers a slight smile, "Yeah, good job." Just then, the drone announces, "Congratulations, all mobs within this devil's cave have been killed." Meanwhile, in a dark observation room, an examiner stares at his monitor, his face pale with shock. How is this possible? These trash students with zero combat experience. He watches the live feed in utter disbelief, stammering to himself. Actually killed a D-rank monster above their level. Behind the frantic examiner, other, more imposing figures watch the same screens in silence, their expressions unreadable. One of them, a relaxed young man with pinkish hair named Carl Cavendish, finally breaks the silence. He muses. This young man is performing quite excellently. His eyes are fixed on the screen showing Si Chen's face. He continues, and a small, knowing smile plays on his lips as he finishes his thought, a statement that hangs heavy in the air. "He looks a lot like an old acquaintance." Carl Cavendish leans against the wall, a slight smile playing on his lips. He finally remembers where he heard that name before. It was Si Chen. Gong Lin stares at the monitors with intense focus. His face couldn't look more displeased with the way things are playing out. Gong Chuan observes from the side, his expression filled with anxiety. He realizes that if Carl continues to focus only on Si Chen during the exam, the Gong family's plans will be completely ruined. "Look, everyone!" Gong Chuan shouted, pointing excitedly at one of the main displays. He drew everyone's attention to a team that was making record-breaking time. The screen shows Gong Ting's team already halfway through their D-rank dungeon. Their combat efficiency is staggering, leaving a trail of defeated monsters in their wake. A female examiner adjusts her glasses, impressed by what she's seeing. Their coordination is so flawless it's as if they're a professional guild raid team rather than just students. Carl Cavendish finds the whole display quite interesting. He notes that this year's graduating class is proving to be much more impressive than previous ones. Gong Chuan smiles with smug satisfaction, having successfully drawn every eye to the Gong Ting team's battle. He knows that the real show hasn't even begun yet. Inside the Gloomven Grotto, the team faces off against a swarm of noxious toadstools. These D-rank monsters are known for their toxic spores and aggressive nature. The team's flower chanter strikes a pose and unleashes her withering hymn. The sound waves ripple through the air, instantly debuffing the monster's strength, stamina, and speed. "Gather 'em!" The star mage received the command and immediately clapped his hands together. A surge of energy began to coalesce, pulling the weakened toadstools into a tight cluster. He followed up with astral fusion, dragging a swarm of monsters and pinning them to a single spot amidst pink and purple light. The team's coordination was perfectly timed to maximize the damage. In a flash of steel, the team leader draws his sword. He moves with a grace and speed that far exceeds his peers. Gong Ting unleashes his searing fracture skill, sending a wave of fire and force through the monster group. The impact is devastating, clearing the remaining enemies in a single blow. As a C-rank flame soldier, Gong Ting stands tall, his eyes glowing with power. He looks every bit the prodigy the Gong family claims him to be. The team laughs as they stand over the charred remains of their enemies. They note that these monsters are exactly like the ones they fought during their specialized training. One of the members smirks, realizing just how much easier life is when you have the right connections. It's clear to them that the exam was rigged in the Gong family's favor from the start. "At this rate, we'll become champions in no time," one of them shouts confidently. They turn their sights toward the boss room, eager to finish their record-breaking run. Far away from the cheers, Si Chen's group battles the freezing winds of the Cloudwood summit. The air is thick with snow as they trudge up the steep mountainside. Si Chen leads the way, his gaze steady despite the blinding blizzard. He remains completely unbothered by the harsh conditions, his mind focused on the goal ahead. The group has reached the peak of the Cloudwood summit, a notorious high-risk area within the D-rank dungeon. The atmosphere here is noticeably more heavy and dangerous. The teammates can't believe they actually made it to the top. They look out over the snowy expanse, catching their breath after the grueling climb. Their relief is cut short when they spot the Frostwraith ape nearby. The D-rank Cloud Soldier is busy tearing into a fresh kill, its massive fangs stained with blood. "Is that the Monster Lord?" The Glass's teammate stammers, his face pale with fear. The sheer size and ferocity of the beast are enough to make anyone second-guess their choices. The Frostwraith ape looks up from its meal, its glowing red eyes locking onto the newcomers. It snarls, blood dripping from its mouth as it prepares to defend its territory. "Holy Shi'ai, it's looking at us!" The Glass's teammate screams, his eyes wide behind his spectacles. He panics as the monster stands to its full, intimidating height. The ape roars and charges with surprising speed, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground. While his teammates scramble away in terror, Si Chen remains perfectly still, waiting for the right moment. Just as the beast reaches him, Si Chen delivers a powerful kick straight to its jaw. Lightning crackles around his leg, the impact sending a spray of blood and broken teeth into the air. The force of the blow sends the massive ape flying backward. It crashes into the snow, the sound of the impact echoing across the summit. Si Chen doesn't give it a chance to recover. He leaps into the air, lightning arcing across his body as he prepares his next move. He brings his foot down with crushing force, catching the monster right in the face. The shockwave from the strike shatters the ground beneath them. With a final, lightning-fast flourish, he slices the beast apart. It all happens so quickly that the ape is dead before its body even hits the ground again. The Glass's teammate is frozen in shock, unable to believe what he just witnessed. He can't wrap his head around how Si Chen killed a Lord-level monster so easily. A system message appears, confirming the kill and the gain of 200 experience points. They've also acquired one Frostwraith ape fur, a standard loot drop. Si Chen stands over the remains of the monster, his expression unreadable. His teammates slowly approach, still shaken by the sudden burst of violence. He finds it strange that killing a lord of a D-rank dungeon would provide such low experience and poor loot. His red eyes narrow as he begins to suspect something is off. Si Chen scans the area, his instincts telling him that the fight isn't over. He doesn't let his guard down even as his teammates celebrate the victory. "Hey, you guys, check this out!" One of the teammates shouts from across the clearing. They've found something hidden within a hollowed-out tree trunk. Inside the hollow is a massive cluster of shimmering mid-tier mana crystals. The sheer volume of wealth stashed here is enough to make anyone's head spin. The group is over the moon, already dreaming of how they'll spend the money from selling the crystals. They laugh and cheer, thinking they've just hit the ultimate jackpot. "Hold on," Si Chen warns, his voice sharp and cold. He senses a sudden shift in the mana around them, and it isn't coming from the crystals. But it was already too late. His teammate's hand had already touched the crystal, triggering a deadly trap. The real threat has finally revealed itself. The team doesn't even have time to react as a sudden, freezing gale sweeps across the summit. The blizzard is so thick it practically swallows them whole. Si Chen stares into the whiteout, his red eyes narrowing as the temperature drops to impossible levels. He looks completely unfazed, even as the ice begins to form around him. With a deafening roar of magic, the Arctic nova erupts. In an instant, the entire summit is transformed into a forest of jagged, glowing ice shards. Everything falls silent as the blizzard clears, leaving the entire team frozen solid. They stand like statues in the middle of the frozen wasteland, their progress brought to a dead stop. Back in the observation room, the screen showing Team Si Chen suddenly cuts to static. A bright red, no signal warning blinks across the center of the display. Gong Chuan pulls at his mustache, a smug look crossing his face. He remarks that they fell right into the trap, nodding that high-level monsters can be surprisingly intelligent. He turns to Carl Cavendish, suggesting that the students' lives are now in clear danger. He believes it's time for the guild rescue team to step in and end the exam before someone gets killed. The massive wall of monitors shows dozens of other teams in action, but all eyes are on the blacked-out screen at the center. The atmosphere in the room has shifted from excitement to concern. The principal remains unbothered, pointing out that their wristbands are still reporting stable vital signs. He adds that there's no indication in their neural data that they've lost the will to fight. He insists that the choice to withdraw should be left entirely in the hands of the examinees themselves. He believes they've earned the right to decide their own fate. Back on the mountain, the Glass's teammate lets out a violent sneeze, his breath coming out in clouds of frost. He's barely clinging to consciousness as the cold bites into his skin. Huddled against the wind, Ma Long realized he was the only one who hadn't been frozen solid after the initial blast, thanks to his own resistance as a cloud class. If it hadn't been for that, he would have been frozen stiff along with the others. He isn't alone on the summit, however. A dark, towering shadow looms over his hunched form, its presence heavy with the smell of old ice and death. The Bone King of frozen remains reveals itself. A terrifying skeletal figure draped in tattered robes and a jagged, icy crown. A bright blue core of mana glows within its ribcage. Ma Long looked up, his eyes wide with horror. He whispered to himself, wondering if this monster was the true lord of the dungeon. The creature's eerie laughter echoes through the snow, a dry, rattling sound that seems to come from everywhere at once. It looms over its prey like a silent sentinel of death. It stands as a grim reminder of why this dungeon is ranked so high. The Bone King's presence alone is enough to drain the last bits of warmth from the air. The teammate's mind races, remembering a description from the monster compendium about a sinister cloud mage that loves to toy with its victims. He realizes they're in far more trouble than they thought. This is no ordinary boss. It's the rare rank C Lord-class monster, the Bone King of frozen remains. Its name is whispered in legends as a bringer of eternal winters. Its hollow hockets glow with an intense blue light as it fixes its gaze on the only student still capable of moving. The creature looks as ancient as the mountain itself. Terrified, the teammate scrambles away, his boots slipping on the frozen ground. He knows he can't possibly handle a monster of this rank alone. He barely makes it a few yards before the summit itself seems to turn against him. He keeps running, his breath coming in ragged, desperate gasps. An ice crystal shard hurtled forward, tearing clean through his lower leg in a spray of blood. The sound of bone shattering was drowned out by the howling wind. He hits the ground hard, a pained scream escaping his lips. He looks back at the monster, realizing he's been pinned to the spot like an insect. The skeletal lord hovers closer, its hand glowing with a malevolent blue energy. It looks down at the boy with what can only be described as a mocking amusement. The teammate's wristband blinks a warning red, reporting a through-and-through wound. The system calmly asks if he wishes to abandon the exam and be rescued. He let out a defiant roar of refusal, his eyes suddenly becoming sharp and unusually clear. He knew he had to thaw out Si Chen before it was too late for both of them. Channeling every ounce of mana he has left, he activates the source of purification on the ice block holding Si Chen. He prays that it will be enough to break the spell. The Bone King responded instantly, sending another ice spike that pierced through the teammate's arm. He screamed in agony, his vision blurring from the pain. He collapses into the snow, his strength failing him as the system coldly reports that the purification attempt has failed. It seems like the end for the entire team. The monster hovers over its broken prey, its skeletal jaw rattling in what sounds like a victory laugh. It looks like it's savoring the moment of their total defeat. It gathers its magic once more, forming dozens of smaller ice bone spikes around its body. The creature is preparing to finish the job once and for all. Slumped in the snow, his heart rate spiking and his body covered in wounds, the teammate looks like a ghost of himself. The freezing wind threatens to carry away his last bit of hope. The wristband's question repeats, a robotic invitation to give up and escape the suffering. It's a tempting offer for someone who has already given everything. Abandon it? His eyes flared with a desperate, fierce fire behind his cracked glasses. He gritted his teeth, his expression twisting into one of pure, unadulterated stubbornness. He thinks back on every time he let fear win, every time he ran away and left himself behind. He's tired of being the one who always gets left in the dust. He remembers the bullying, the laughter, and the years of being treated as nothing more than a burden. The memories burn hotter than the freezing cold around him. He thinks of all the times he was too weak to stand up for himself or those he cared about. He refuses to let this be another one of those moments. He remembers his team and the promise they made to change their fates together. They fought too hard to make it this far just to fail now. I absolutely won't just give up like this, he screams, his voice cracking with the strain. His resolve is harder than the ice that's trying to kill him. With a final, agonizing effort, he lunges forward and slams his hand against Si Chen's icy prison. He ignores the spikes in his body as he pours the last of his mana into the skill. Source of purification, he bellows as a blinding blue light erupts from his palm. The sheer power of his will begins to shake the entire summit. Behind Ma Long, the Bone King raised its hand, commanding a volley of ice crystals that hurtled forward with ear-piercing shrieks. Beneath his palm, the thick ice holding Si Chen captive begins to hum and crackle with a sudden surge of internal power. The glowing blue light of the purification spell fights back against the monster's freezing curse. With the ice shards closing in, just inches away from making him log out of life, Ma Long grit his teeth and poured every last drop of mana into his palms to shatter the ice sealing Si Chen. Ma Long's eyes clamped shut as he let out a guttural scream, his glasses fogged over by the extreme cold and sheer exhaustion. He was determined to push past everything to break the weakling jinx, giving his all for his ideals and his friends in this very moment. Deep within the darkness of the broken ice, Si Chen's eyes snap open, burning with a fierce and predatory golden light. The air around him seems to vibrate with a sudden, overwhelming pressure. A massive shockwave of blue mana and ice debris erupts from the center, blowing back the surrounding snow as Si Chen fully awakens. The sheer force of his awakening clears a wide circle on the mountain peak. The Bone